What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Paul Brown here, and I'm joined today by John Mitchell. Just a couple of weeks out from probably the biggest fight of your career, John. You're squaring up against Souhil Tairi at the PFL Road to Dubai Champion Series. How is preparation going for this one?
It's been hell, lad. It's been unbelievable. Like, I've a new coach now I've worked with for last year, Azamat, Coach Ozzy on Instagram, and he's really pushed us through our paces. I've had so many fights at this stage, but this one's been different. So they say those expressions, every box has been ticked, but and the rest of the boxes for this one.
Yeah, I mean, for any guys who maybe don't follow you too closely, this fight's taking place in Dubai, and it's not really an away fight for you. You've been calling Dubai home for quite a long time now, haven't you? How long have you been out there?
The last 4 years, Dubai, it feels like I'm fighting at home. Like I fought last year in twice in Dubai, and both times it sold out. Like, the Irish expat community is massive here, and I have a lot of friends in the local community as well. So definitely feels like I'm at home, and it's the home comforts as well.
Yeah, and you spoke about Coach Ozzy there, of course, and anyone who doesn't follow him on Instagram, you're missing out because the content, the level of detail, he looks to me. I mean, you and me have both worked with another coach who is big on detail, Collie Mahan, and I
Exactly.
love working with guys like that who are obsessive about their craft and kind of don't leave stones unturned. And Ozzy seems to be one of those guys as well. What's that experience been like?
The very best coach in the world, lad. And you see it when I travel to all these other camps, like how amazing he is and how they bring him for all these huge global fights. And even the Instagram content is a fraction of what he's shown in person. It's like it's really opened my eyes to like elite level wrestling. You know what I mean? So I think he's the best in the world at that. So it's been amazing, and I get to show it now.
Yeah, and obviously the training camp you have. I mean, we had a little talk about it off air there, and got a handful of Irish guys over there with you. Now, a lot of guys I would know as well, and a small, tight knit group, I believe, but some real quality of in training partners you've got.
100%. And that's what when I was training in MMA Cork, it was the same thing, tight knit group. When I was in DCA, tight knit group, that's where I've always enjoyed the most. Like, I'm with Senan Coakley since he's 11 years old, and I'm with Paul Buckley since he's 9 years old. I'm like, even myself and Nathan were talking how mad it is. Like, 9 years ago we were getting ready for our first amateur belts together, and now we're waiting outside the gym in Dubai getting ready for a massive fight. So it's perfect for me.
Yeah, Nathan Kelly, who you just mentioned, he's fighting on the card now as well, and he had a spectacular fight lined up. I believe it was a co-main event. He was going to be fighting Kasan Magomed Sharapov. Unfortunately, that's gone, but he'd have to be handed a really good replacement opponent as well. I mean, I don't think there's much of a drop off in standard there, so it's still a massive fight. What has it been like working alongside him, like the both of you doing your camp effectively together for such a massive card? I mean, for both of you, this has got to be the biggest fight of your careers, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. And myself and Nathan are no newcomers to huge fights. Like, we both fought in the Tree Arena and what have you. But it's been unreal going through this with them. And then, like, when you're training with Irish pros, you really see how they're absolute soldiers in the camp. Like, you don't hear either of us complaining. We just always get on with it. And we're both so excited for this one. So we've been great energy for each other. And I can tell you this much: he's a tough bastard too. So I'm looking forward to it.
His career has just, I mean, the levels he's reached began. I mean, he lost his first two fights. He was fighting, he told me, in the wrong weight class, made some changes, and he's just gone from strength to strength in there, And obviously, iron sharpens iron. You guys working together, it's going to be something that's going to benefit both of you. But you mentioned Paul Buckley and Dennis Coakley, and there's a real quality in that training mat. But Khabib, do you think that's going to be anything that's going to strengthen your case? Training alongside Irish fighters. Khabib Nurmagomedov had a hell of a lot to say about it over the last couple of weeks. And what was it like, kind of seeing one of the greats of MMA coming out and effectively sort of trashing what you and I and all, all of the fighters here in Ireland do?
Yeah, well, he's got to say what he has to say, doesn't it? You know what I mean? He was never going to be nice about it. But the good thing about this sport, as you know, is whoever wins the fight wins the argument as well. So we've an argument and a fight to win now on January 25th.
Yeah, it's effectively like, I mean, you're not fighting a Dagestani, but I think the other three Irish guys on the card are. So effectively being marketed as an Ireland v Dagestan sort of team versus team event. I kind of get the feeling that you sort of dodged the bullet with this one. The pressure isn't on you. I mean, sometimes people go into fights and they feel the pressure on themselves to win, but it can be a good thing and a bad thing if it's kind of a team kind of thing too. You might don't want to let other people down, step into
Lad,
the cage, but I don't think you have that issue anyway because you're not fighting the Dagestani.
I'd said this to every Irish fighter that's ever said it to me. I'm made for Dagestanis, bro. Look who my coach is. Look at every fight I do. I put pressure. I've sparred so many of them. It's never a Dagestani lad that's giving me trouble. You know what I mean? I was hoping I would have got one for this card. I'm the perfect lad for them. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, they're just as tough in Cork as they are in Dagestan. And that wrestling, I guarantee I could take those lads down as much as they could take me down.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a good grounding. I mean, lots of years training in MMA Cork, and we both know what the standards are like down there. And where everybody that comes out of that gym shines is usually, everybody coming out of there can wrestle. Everybody coming out of there can bring a strong pace. Have you been back training in Cork much over the last couple of years since you've moved to Dubai?
No, I haven't been back to Cork much now at all. I've just been so focused on my work and my career here. Mostly when I do go back, it's just for family visits. But like I'm still very close to Aaron Maguire. Like he introduced me to this sport and this life that I've made for myself. Now Paul Buckley's over here with me as well. But maybe an old bit of training. When I go back, I'm not really too focused on training. I only go back for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Short visit and just maybe tick off a few boxes and then get back to work over there. And
That's it.
you get better climate over there too. I mean, it's midwinter here, so today's I think the coldest day of the year here. So we're not. I was on the mats today, and I have to say now I'm still not warmed up, and I'm 2 hours after the session. I'm still waiting for my body to start feeling warmer. So I don't. I kind of envy you being over there at the moment and having that climate. But other thing I wanted to ask you about was the fight. Souhil Tairi. Have you watched much of the opponent? Have you? Like, what do you make of him?
I don't watch much of him, he's good. He can do bits of everything, but I know my level. Like, I know from doing all the elite level camps I've done this year that I've nothing to be concerned about. I just let him focus on me, like, I think it's my 27th or 26th or something MMA fight. And I think about 5 fights in, I stopped looking at the other opponent too much. You know what I mean? I let my coaching panel do that. Like, I'm going to do what John Mitchell always does. I'm going to push the pace in boxing, wrestling, kicking, you name it, and then if he can try deal with that, he can try deal with it, My mindset when I go into the fights is never like, it sounds mad, but I never think of it as a fight. I think of it as I'm going to beat the shit out of you to try survive. And that's just what's up on the night,
Yeah, the right mindset to be going in. And you mentioned the variety of weapons there. And we had a big headline maker the other day. Don Davis came out and announced that all PFL fights going forward are going to have elbows, which you're delighted with as well. As someone who's used a hell of a lot of them over the years. And one thing I wanted to ask you though, this came out last week, and it was kind of playing on my mind. Did the fighters find out about this just last week when Don Davis announced it? Was it made not clear to you guys before you went into your training camp, or what's the situation there?
I'm not too sure about that. When I was cornering Jeremy Kennedy for his fight in Saudi, and he told me then, and that was like a good time ago, maybe August or something, the elbows were allowed. So then I've just been getting elbow ready ever since, But I was
Okay,
always
so
elbow ready anyway. Like, don't get me wrong, you don't have to convince me to throw him, you know what I mean? So I knew a good while ago anyway.
yeah, you would have been working on the assumption anyway. You wouldn't have put through like 3/4 of your camp thinking that you weren't allowed to throw elbows.
Sure, you just throw an elbow in anyway, lad. You don't have to get too ready to do it.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. You speaking of the PFL experience and fighting without elbows, you had to do it 2 years ago because you fought in the European Tournament, 2023. How was that overall experience? I think you got 3 fights in that year.
3 fights in, yeah. It was good, man. Like, I cut my teeth in it. I learned a lot. I dominated the first 2 fights. I was dominating the last fight until it seemed like I got hit by a sniper from the crowd or something. But it was God's plan why that happened, and now I'm in this position because of it. So it was great, bro. I took massive lessons. Like, the right people stayed with me. The wrong people left me after that fight. So now I get to show everyone the new John Mitchell.
Yeah, and talked about that final fight against Jakub Kazuba, of course, who's still going strong and making a great year 2024. That must have been a tricky or a difficult result to take on the chin. The way it all played out, it looked for a moment like you had the fight won, and referee Rich Mitchell stepped in. I think he put a hand on you,
Yeah, he did.
like he was about to stop the fight. And then
Touch my
did that
back.
affect you mid-fight?
Yeah, well, he touched my back, didn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, the thing is, and it helped him get on. But, ultimately, like, I don't, there's no point, like, thinking, oh, fuck Rich Mitchell, you know what I mean? But the thing is, it was grand because my dad was with me after, and I've had, like, in total between Thai boxing and boxing and me, this is my 53rd fight. My dad's been there for nearly all of them. And even he said to me after, he was like, that happened for a reason because that was going too easy for you the other way, you know what I mean? So, as soon as that happened, the only, like, thing that kept me going with it was I knew, like, it couldn't have been that easy and then get hit with a shot out of nowhere like that, you know. So now I'm here. So, you know, it's not even righting my wrongs. It's just part of the John Mitchell story.
Yeah, and that story can continued, but at a bit of a slower rate throughout 2024. So you had those 3 fights in the PFL Smart Cage 2023, culminating with that European final, which you and last year you weren't with the promotion at all. You had one MMA fight in Dubai and a boxing match. So talk to me about what was the decision making there. Were you still under contract with PFL or sort of floating in open water for a little while since then up to the point with them?
No, I was still in contract. It's actually a disaster what happened. So they said I was going to get ready to go fighting again in wherever the first one of that was, and I was ready as soon as my health was good after that fight, and I fucking got sepsis pretty much. Sorry for swearing, but yeah. So like that knocked me out of the thing. So what could I do? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was in hospital for like 6 days. I was proper sick. So then I missed the season. So what can you do if you miss the season? So then I got to do a good fight over here in Dubai, and it was actually unreal because, you know, it was like fighting at home. It was like your man was like 10-2 or something or whatever he was, and I smashed him. And then I got to go to Bilal Muhammad's camp and Jared Gordon's camp, and then I got to do my pro boxing debut. So you know, it wasn't as active, but in 2023. I actually did 4 fights that year, but I also finished one at the end of the year. So I actually did 5 fight camps back to back. So it was no harm me having 1 year of development. You know what I mean? Because the 5 fights were amazing, but you know, when you're going fight camp to fight camp to fight camp, it's different from doing long periods of training, you know?
You're just sort of sharpening the tools you already have rather than adding more into the arsenal.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and now I've added a lot more tools, and like I see what I'm doing in the gym, and I see what I'm doing in these elite level fight camps to people that are elite level, and I know what I can do.
Mentioned there the pro boxing debut as well, which came in the second half of 2024. Tell me about that experience. How did it come about?
So like boxing's what actually came into me with this sport, and like when I'm in Dubai, I'm always sparring the pro boxers, and I didn't think any of them were getting a beat on me. You know what I mean? So then one of my friends, Aaron Bickerstaff, he was organising a pro boxing fight here, and he was always telling me you should do pro boxing, but I love MMA. So then I didn't have any MMA fights coming up, and I done it, and I did great. I smashed the guy, and I have another pro boxing fight that's going 6 rounds now on Big Bang Promotions as the main event again, 4 or 5 weeks after this next fight. So I keep that going.
Okay, so you're dipping the toes right back in the water. So you just got to get through this one unscathed, and then back into the boxing shoes and the big gloves.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. You know, like I'm a prize fighter, so I'm here to fight. You know, so if you name it, I'll do it.
Love to see it. One other thing I wanted to ask you about then was sort of half answered that already accidentally, but after this fight in Dubai is out of the way, you know, what do you see yourself? What situation do you see yourself with the PFL going forward? Are you under contract with them further down the line?
I'm never too sure about the contract stuff. Like, you know, that's what my manager does. But 2025, I'm showing people I know about myself already. I'm one of the best fighters in the world, and I'm a problem for everyone. So like that's the plan. Whether who I'm fighting, that's what's up, or where I'm fighting them.
Okay, well, listen, best of luck now in, I think it's 2.5 weeks out now, isn't it, from
2.5
Road to
weeks.
Dubai Champion Series. What an event to be part of. What a fight card to be part of. And all the best, bro.
Are you coming over?
I wish it's too cold to be here in Ireland. I wish I was getting over there for a few days, but maybe next time we get another card over there, you know?
For sure, for sure.
Legend. Thanks for your time, bud.
Okay, thanks very much, bro.